welcome back to my channel. My name is Karina and I make videos about speech and language pathology, specifically for SLPAs. This is my first time doing a Q&A video ever, so this is why I have a topo chico here and I have some ceviche that I'll be snacking on. If you don't like watching people eat, then this video is probably not for you, but I will catch you in my next video. I'm really excited, because yes, I mentioned I haven't done a Q&A ever, but because this is all speech related, I'm excited to get into these questions. First question I have written down, and it's asked very often. It's about work-life balance and if being an SLPA really provides that. And it does. I say 100% yes, because as an SLPA, working in early intervention / home health and then working in the school setting, I've been able to make my own schedule. So I really like that. If I have to be somewhere for my son, then I'm able to kind of cut my day, in half or whatever I need to do. And I can just make up those speech sessions. At the end of the day, as long as you're making up all of the required minutes and you're getting that done per quarter or whatever, the goal is, then you're able to do whatever you need to. I also don't bring any work home. I've talked about this in other videos, but I really try to just do my work at work. Another question that's asked pretty often is it hard? I guess you mean like if it's hard to be an SLPA or if it's hard to become one. So one, is it hard to be an SLPA? I don't think so. My first year, it was very difficult just because of behavior. I dealt with a lot of behavior issues in the school setting and I had no idea how to tackle that. So my first year, I will say it was a lot. And I had a lot to learn, about scheduling and interacting with teachers and just different stuff that I had to learn in the school setting as opposed to early intervention. It was very different. How is it hard to become an SLPA? I kind of see that in two parts. You could talk about school or you could talk about the licensing. To complete your degree, I don't think was exactly hard. There were some courses that were very difficult, specifically speech science and language in the brain and stuff. All that was pretty difficult. But once I got my degree, applying it wasn't difficult. It was very much in my mind. But to get your license to be an SLPA, I do think is very difficult because I know of people who have kind of given up because they can't get that clinical, the clinical hours requirement. They can't get that done. And I think that's the hardest part, getting someone to be your supervisor for you to be able to get the clinical hours or to find a program where you're able to do the clinical hours. I was very lucky to have done this at UT immediately after I graduated, and they did only accept a handful of people, so it was very difficult. I also have friends who have been lucky enough to get someone to supervise them while they're able to get their clinical hours, but if you can't do that, I think that's the hardest part about getting your license. Next one is it stressful? Is your caseload stressful? Is it a lot? I would say my first year, again, yes, it was very hard to manage everything, to balance and to really get in the groove of things. But because this is my third year in a school setting, I think I've gotten the hang of it and it's not very difficult once you're able to really prepare all of your scheduling. You're able to prepare everything that you need for the year. I think that's essential because then you're set and you feel more comfortable. Next one is, what setting do you recommend for a recent graduate student? So I would definitely say not teletherapy. I know, after everything that happened in 2020, you were able to move into teletherapy sessions as an SLPA because of something that passed, in Texas. But I don't recommend that because teletherapy is very different, obviously, from in-person. And teletherapy, you have to continuously be finding new activities for your student that you're working on. And if it's in a group, if you're not working individually, I think it's even more difficult in teletherapy sessions because you have to turn take, you have to deal with background noise, you have to deal with people coming in and out of the room. You have to, it's a lot that you can't do in person. So I don't recommend teletherapy if you are a recent graduate student, and if that's an option, don't do teletherapy. I would highly recommend if you are recently graduating to look into home health or something similar, because home health can be very flexible. As I mentioned earlier, you kind of make your own schedule. there are certain things you need to follow, clock in at a certain time, finish by a certain time, but it's pretty flexible and up to you, when you want to make up this time, when you can see your people on the caseload and stuff, so that's really good. You get a lot of experience being in home health. You're working directly with families, you're learning, you know, traveling to homes, we're learning that work-life balance, like as you call parents or text them, if they give you another phone, if you have to use your phone. There's a lot that you learn in the home health setting. So I would say really go for either home health, early intervention, something like that, where you're traveling and you're able to get a lot out of it. Another common question I get is about the supervision and how my supervisor, I guess, supervises me. So that is already set by the state, right? As my supervisor, I've had 2 women, so I keep wanting to say her, but my 2 supervisors that I've had, they are required to see me for 1 hour per week for direct observation, which means them sitting down, watching me do speech therapy with kids. And then they're also required to meet 1 hour for indirect observation. So the indirect observation can easily be like texting, it could be calls throughout the week, but they're requiring you for 1 hour per week to talk about the caseload and talk about questions you might have and just discuss speech and language related things. So I do have to see my supervisor for at least 2 hours per week, which isn't bad if you think about it. I mean, I'm doing all the direct therapy myself. For supervision, I haven't had a supervisor who gives me the activities or gives me things to try. I have had supervisors who offer different activities and they're like, hey, I found this at the store for you, or hey, use my old materials with the kids for this age. And I've been lucky enough to have supervisors that are super helpful and lenient at the same time. They're not completely, what's the word I'm looking for? Like completely overlooking me. You know what I mean? Like when they're seeing, you know, are you here at this time, and calling you every hour, or seeing like surprise drop-ins or something. I don't have someone like that. I've been lucky enough to have supervisors that are very understanding, they are very sweet, and they're very knowledgeable. So I feel very comfortable, or I have felt very comfortable with the 2 supervisors that I've had in my career. Next one, have I ever worked in a clinic? I have not, unfortunately. Now that I work at a school, I have thought about different settings, like just to get experience under my belt. But because I'm a mom now, I think the school is perfect for me, and I will be riding it out here for as long as I can. Because when you think about it, you know, a clinic, I don't think would be giving you all the time off that I have in a school setting. A clinic, I would imagine, is very direct, and I don't know how it would be for an SLPA. I can't really imagine like your supervisor being there all the time. It's a little bit different. So no, I have not worked at a clinic. Did my college courses prepare me to be an SLPA? Yes, 100%. I do think it's also about the experiences you get and like what you make out of your college experience. If you're strictly focused on getting straight A's, that's great, good for you. I wasn't that girl. I tried to get as much experience under my belt as I could, and it did affect my grades. I tried to balance a lot of things at once, but I do think the classes and like the coursework that I did really set me up for success. Oh, what I forgot to mention was the only thing I didn't learn in school is like behavior management, and I think that's fair. I don't really expect speech and language majors to be teaching behavioral like strategies and stuff, but I think it really helps. And that's why experience is like needed for sure, right? This is where you're seeing how to deal with certain behaviors, or how you should confront a child with autism about something you're having an issue with. You need experience to learn all of this, right? You don't have to directly learn it from school. Do I use IPA as an SLPA? If you don't know what IPA is, it's the International Phonemic Alphabet. So it's kind of like symbols, or like a way to transcribe speech samples. That's the simplest way I can put it. So you do learn this while you're in school, right? You learn what a certain symbol means, if it's the TH sound, if it's the R, the ER, you learn all of that. So I don't actually use it as an SLPA because I'm not the one who is transcribing speech samples. I don't help my SLP in that. She does that. Maybe she might use it in her reports, but I do see it in her goals. My supervisor will write the goals up for the students that I'm seeing, and then it's up to me to look at the goals and then do speech therapy, of course. So when she's writing down goals, sometimes she'll use like a symbol for TH, And I have to know if that's the voiced or the voiceless TH, or for the R, like I was mentioning earlier, I have to know if it's the R or the ER. If I have questions, of course I can ask her, and sometimes I do because I don't use it every day, but no, I don't typically use the IPA. Next one, was I able to pick schools or the number of schools that I am at? I was not. I didn't even know until I was actually working for the school that you typically work at more than one school. I mean, I had heard about it from other people, but I didn't think, I guess I didn't think it was gonna be me. Next one is, was experience needed or was it easy to find a job with no experience after I graduated? I will say it was fairly easy to get a job once I did get my license. I remember when I first graduated, I was completely scared because I was like, oh, I'm applying for all these jobs, and they were calling me back, but they were all saying, hey, I need your license number, or I need your Texas license number, and I didn't have it because I didn't have my license yet. So I had to explain to everybody one by one, you know, why I didn't have my license yet. I was working on it. That was hard. But once I did have my license, it was pretty easy to get a job. However, I still really think you should get some experience, just, you know, for yourself and for your resume, because if you're able to talk about yourself like with confidence in an interview, you are 10 times more likely to get the job. I remember when I applied for the school district that I am working at now, when they were asking me questions, I had like no hesitation because I already knew, you know, while I didn't have any experience working with middle school and high school, I made it a point to say like, I'm very good with kids. I'm very good with school age elementary kids and with babies. I'm very good in that area. So yes, get experience, although it was not needed. Last question is, what is the difference, or like what do I do differently from an SLP? So as the assistant, number one, I try to be very careful with how I like say my position, because I only go to school for 4 years. I only have a bachelor's degree. The SLP for sure completed her master's degree and has a lot more experience, more knowledge, all around. As an SLPA, I do not evaluate kids. I don't sit down and test a kid. I know nothing about that. I can't even give you like a name of one of the tests, to be honest. I don't know anything about that. I also don't write reports. So I don't sit there and say, hey, Susie needs speech therapy because blank, blank, blank. That's the SLP's role. I do not write the goals. Again, because I didn't evaluate the kid, I'm not writing the report. I know nothing about like their real history and how they're doing. I just see the goals as the SLPA, and I work one-on-one with a child in group settings or an individual setting, and I do the direct therapy. So that completes my Q&A video. If you found this video helpful, please make sure to give my video a like. That will also let me know that you all want more of these videos, so I can definitely do that if it is wanted. Subscribe to my channel as well. It'll mean so much to me, and I will catch you guys in my next video. Bye.